Now, in the previous video, we already talked about the pattern of these cost measures on the graph. Okay. Now here, there's one more thing we would like to mention, which is specifically about the average total cost. Okay, ATC. Now, when we take a closer look at this U-shaped ATC, you would be able to find that, when MC crosses ATC, it's the bottom of the ATC, right? So at that specific point, the firms can produce at the lowest average total cost. Okay. In other words, if the firm's goal is to minimize its cost, then that will give us, how many units of output it should produce. Okay, so in this case, it looks like it's slightly above 8 units of output. Okay, around that level of output, the firm can enjoy what's so-called the economies of scale. Okay, so again, at the beginning, we find the firm has to pay a pretty high average total cost because of the very high average fixed cost. Okay, and then after that, because of the downward sloping AFC, okay, and the specialization effect, so the average total cost continue to decline. Okay, and upon this point, when we find the lowest level, all right. The bottom of ATC is called efficient scale. Okay. Now here we can wrap up this chapter, okay, and draw the conclusions. We start with the basic concepts, especially the explicit cost and implicit cost. Okay, and as we said, this helps us understand the difference between accounting and economic profits. Okay. The most important economic intuition behind these concepts is opportunity cost. Okay, remember in chapter 1 we already said that accountant always looks backward. Okay, he or she recorded what has been taking place. Okay, like if they pay the cost, the production cost with cash, and the cash flowing out of the pocket, so they get stuff like that recorded, right? But an economist always looks forward. We're trying to figure out, what you could do or could not do. Okay, what's your best option. So here, the idea of the implicit cost comes from the opportunity cost. Okay, what has been given up. So potentially, you could have other opportunities. Okay, you could receive the return from these other opportunities. So when we make our economic decision, we should factor all of these in. Okay, if you try something else, how much money, for example, you can make, that should be part of your cost. Okay, and then we talk about the production function. Okay, and we said you can simply imagine this is a black box. Okay, you put the labor, capital, land, technology into the box, and then what comes out is the output. Okay, now by using the total product curve and the marginal product curve, we showed the law of diminishing returns. Okay, now we said that in that example we discussed its law of diminishing returns to labor, okay, because labor is a variable input. But of course, the same logical reasoning can be applied to other inputs. Okay? If you believe, for example, land is a fixed input, right? You cannot get an extra piece of land. You only have that, like 1 acre, 2 acres of land. That's it, right? You can probably change your labor, change your capital, okay, and For example, if the capital can be changed, then we could say law of diminishing returns to capital as well. Okay. And when we need to shift the curve, so this is what we find when we discuss Malthus in his study on the relationship between the food supply and the population growth. Okay, and we demonstrated that if the fixed inputs can be changed, in other words, the fixed inputs are not fixed anymore, then we have to shift the curves. Okay, so for example, if we when we draw the LDR to labor, we said that the machinery, equipment, technologies, and the land are fixed. But later, if you find that you get better machines, equipments, and then you should upward, you should shift the TP curve upward. Okay. We again use the LDR to explain Malthus and his population theory. Okay. And we also provide some insights on why Malthus went wrong, especially about the what happened after the Industrial Revolution. Okay. And then in the past I believe 2 or 3 videos we talked about various measures of costs. Okay. We worked on several numerical examples. Okay, and then we put them on the graph and see the interaction among them. Okay, these cost calculation and graphs are super important for us to understand the production costs. And in the next chapter, when we talk about the profit maximizing behaviors of the firms, these costs are the building blocks. Okay, if you want to maximize your profit, we said which is the difference between your total revenue and total cost. So you should have the solid understanding about the cost in the first place. Okay. All right. So that's it for this chapter.